This is live. It's a Hawaii Volcano Squad broadcasting from the Big Island, the middle of the Pacific Ocean. It's a very big island in a very big ocean. And this is Monday's Lock and Load broadcast. And got some interesting news and some, start out with this advertisement from the National Rifle Association. Prior to World War II, the British government imposed invasive gun control measures that left its people without the firearms they needed to defend themselves against the potential Nazi invasion. Not too smart. Believing that freedom has no borders, a group of Americans established the American Committee for Defense of British Homes to help rearm the British people during World War II and ran the below ad in the November 1940 issue of American Rifleman. So, blast from the past. Before the end of the war, the NRA's members sent more than 7,000 of their firearms to England, and the American people sent many more. So the ad says, send a gun to defend a British home. British civilians faced with the threat of invasion desperately need arms for the defense of their homes, for the defense of their houses. The American Committee for Defense of British Homes has organized to collect gifts of pistols, rifles, revolvers, shotguns, binoculars from American civilians who wish to answer the call and aid in the defense of British homes. These arms are being shipped with the consent of the British government to Civilian Committee for Protection of Homes, Birmingham, England, the members of which are Wickham Steed, Edward, it's hard to read this, Edward Hulton, and Lord Davies. You can aid by sending any arms or binoculars you can spare to American Committee for Defense of British Homes, and the address in New York. November 1940. I thought that was pretty cool. And I think Americans still have that spirit that freedom has no borders. So to all my friends in the UK, or I don't know if with the whole Brexit thing, how it's going to wind up, who knows? But I thought that was just a historical blast from the past that you would want to know about. You never can tell who shows up after this chat appears in the channel feeds to a Lock and Load chat. We had a bunch of cool people that came on last week. It takes people a while to check their YouTube. So I think last week, I rambled on for about half an hour. Then we had some really cool people show up. So we'll see how it goes. Got some all kinds of interesting news, starting off with a mega tsunami. Just going to touch on that briefly. Got a whole bunch of stuff to go over. I didn't want to start with this, but see if I can actually get to the right page. This is funny before I get to the tsunami, which will not affect Hawaii, according to the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Failing any new data, they're not going to issue any more reports. There was a 7.2 earthquake in Honshu, Japan. But this chart here, if you're seeing it, is basically the Bolivar in Venezuela. And what this means is that back in here, 2010, you could get one Bolivar for $1. And you can see what's happened to that since then. Hugo Chavez and the new his successor. And just since, let's see, August 16th to October 16th, it went from $1,000 bolivars, the local Venezuelan currency, to 2,000 for $1. So, basically, if you show up with $100, you get 200,000 bolivars. Why anybody would want to hang on to bolivars is beyond me. I know that if you go there and you try and pay for stuff with a credit card, the government charges you like 5 times what it actually costs in fees. So people can show up at the airport, and if you know somebody, or well, I'll get into exactly other ways you can, grab some local currency. I don't know why anybody would want to visit Venezuela right now because it's in complete chaos. But I just wanted to share this. It was also real interesting to note in the Zero Hedge article here. Who Maduro, who took over after Hugo Chavez passed away. There's this website called Dollar Today, and it's run by their public enemy number one. Yes, public enemy number one, the declared public enemy number one is this guy. He works at Home Depot, and he runs that website. He used to be a colonel and in the military. And he said he's done more damage with his website working at Home Depot by, and they've declared him public enemy number one. They have to have somebody to blame for basically, when the price of oil went down, their economy tanked and they have hyperinflation. So this can happen. And I just wanted to cover some of the things where, you need to be aware of, including what's happening in India, Australia. It's getting crazy out there. So here is the new Maduro doing his public relations. He's every week, I think every weekend, he does a salsa TV show, dancing and singing salsa. I mean, I guess that salsa, hanging out at a bodega and doing salsa, is popular in Venezuela. It looks like fun, but he's supposed to be running a country. So I guess that's all he's got left, because if you had Bolivar, they're eating, zoo animals for food. There are huge lines. And speaking of lines, he wants to try and get up. But look at that. Just from 1,000 to 2,000 in from August to October, 50% decrease in your buying power if you had a bunch of wheelbarrow full of Bolivars and lived in Venezuela or wherever you lived, if you had Bolivars. So let's hope that doesn't happen to the dollar one day versus like gold, unless you have tons of gold. And so that brings us to the next Zero Hedge. There's kind of a war on cash going on and it's really, when the night Donald Trump was elected, India had planned to get rid of, these are Indian rupee notes, and they basically pulled 86% of their currency and demonetized it, which means that 86% of the currencies, they pulled the $500 and $1,000 notes. And so let's go back to the home page of Zero Hedge real quick. Right. Well, okay, let's see. I don't know if it's right here. Basically, what happened is there are gigantic lines in front of every bank in India, and what they did is they pulled all the currency, so they demonetized it. So everybody had to turn in their 500 and 1,000 note rupiah, spelled RUPEE, and to get new ones that the government had printed up, because the old ones were worthless. So people would go to the stores and they couldn't use their old cash. And one lady committed suicide when she couldn't buy food and at a store, and there were just these huge long lines. The banks didn't have enough cash to give to everyone, and they basically want, India is like a 90% cash society, and but they have so many crazy taxes that everybody avoids paying taxes. They evade it because they have luxury taxes. They have a 15% tax on buying gold, duty on importing it. So, and gold in the wedding season, which is now in India, which is a very large country population-wise, everybody buys gold for wedding presents. So, it's, so everybody has some gold, but now it costs, they can't buy it with dollar. Everybody went to a bank and everybody was in line, and I mean everybody. So you can imagine how it was at the banks, and without enough currency and upset customers who can't get their money out, and they can only withdraw, a certain amount of money from their accounts. And if you have cash, which most people just did have cash, it's now worthless. So no matter how much, if you had a safe at home and a safe worth of cash, that shit is just paper. Because they only had a limited time to turn it in there. So it's basically there's this giant black market, which is called an economy, and because they couldn't tax anything, so this is what's happening. They wanted to move to a cashless society, but this is the next best thing. Is they had everybody return in their old bills for they demonetized them and said you could turn them in for new bills, but only in a certain amount. They had limits on how much you could turn in. So, it's and obviously they have all kinds of excuses, but the main thing is their taxes are they have luxury taxes, 15% tax on gold, and people were evading and or avoiding tax is legal. People were evading taxes, and right now people are smuggling in gold to avoid the 15% duty. So they're smuggling in gold. They aren't just shipping it legally; they're smuggling it in to India because gold buying is very big, and especially jewelry. So and gold and silver, but so without getting into how that will affect the prices, there's just so much stuff going on in the world because they're talking about doing something very similar in Australia. The excuses will be, well, we don't need cash. People don't want cash anymore. They prefer just to use their, debit cards. But basically, what this is the government wants to tax and control and monitor everything that everyone does. And it's just so whatever you're prepping for, you know at some point you just have to when big countries like India, when everybody in the country has to go stand in line at a bank, so their currency doesn't become worthless. uh that's like billion. I don't know how many billions of people live in India, but it's pretty big country. So, and they did all this in secret. They mostly, they printed up all the replacement currency in secret, and so they kept the secret pretty good. I guess everybody was focused on the Trump Hillary election versus Hillary election, and that night they pulled the currency, and people were trying to panic buy gold, and the premiums went through the roof in India, uh, and it's really just you know crazy. So what countries are going to do that? Uh, they would ban cash if they could. Let's see. Physical bills. Anyway, Zero Hedge is a pretty interesting website. But anyway, that was some of the crazy shit happening. Let me see if I could find the dang hurricane news real quick. What a minute. What did I say? Hurricane? No. Oh, well, there was the whole Trump, everybody visiting, all the media executives got called into Trump Towers, and Trump basically said CNN was a bunch of liars and ranted and raved at all the media executives. But that's old news. Everybody knows CNN is a bunch of liars, but he got to yell at them. And I think they thought they were going to arrange how they would get access in the future. And Trump basically just, you know, went on a bender and just told them, give them what for. Now, let me see where's the next screen share I need to get my hands on. Is it this one? Probably. It's going to be a yep. Here's the earthquake. See if I could get to the right page. I've got so many pages up. And the message from the Tsunami Warning Center. Based on available data, there's no tsunami threat to Hawaii. Repeat, based on all available data, there's no tsunami threat to Hawaii. This will be the only statement issued for this event unless additional data is received. So we're safe. When they had Fukushima, a lot of Fukushima debris washed up on the south part of South Point of the island. Uh, the tide seemed to drop all kinds of stuff there. Um, let's see what else. Okay. I hope everybody checked out my 511 first aid kit bag upgrade. It's a pretty good one. I'm going to be doing a video on couple flashlights I got, one cheap, one expensive, and my lightweight camelback mule bag. It's a hydration bladder. That's pretty nice. As soon as I can get back up to the range and run around with it a bit, my foot is healing up pretty good. I sprayed my foot a couple weeks back, and the instep has just been really hard to walk on. So I haven't been walking for 2 weeks. So I need to get back out there and run around with my guns because that's what's fun for me. And going up there and blasting stuff. I did assemble my steel target. Got some help. Borrowed a uh, uh, borrowed a person to help who had a cordless screwdriver, and I put a bit in there and drilled a couple holes for some. Basically, it's not a just you can't just do it by hand to put the stand together, but it's good to go. So as soon as my foot is good to go, I'm going to get out to the range and do some shooting. Um, really, really looking forward to getting, Republican president and a Republican, or with a Republican majority in Congress and some pro-gun Supreme Court uh, justices on the Supreme Court, and hopefully they will pass the National Carry Act, and people in every state won't have to put up with no you need a permit, but we won't issue any. You need a carry permit to carry, but we don't issue carry permits. Crap, that kind of infringement just is blatantly unconstitutional, and we'll finally have some justices that will say that. So that's just going to be fucking awesome. Can't wait. Meantime, I have been, uh, getting prepped for Thanksgiving, watching some football, some basketball. I think it was 10-10 on the Raiders Houston game tonight. Uh, Houston Texans. I think the receiver got ripped. The referee blew the whistle, thought he stepped out of bounds when he didn't. He should have had a touchdown. But, that's football. Sometimes referees make mistakes. They're human. All right. Gun stuff. I saw an interesting Northwest Prepper video on a $145 Heritage revolver, single action. I couldn't believe you could get a firearm for that cheap nowadays, and it looked well made. So you can check out his channel, Northwest Prepper411. Let's see what else. Some interesting stuff on gun channels, usually. Run through my news feeds real quick. Zero Hedge. Yeah, here's the Trump article. Trump exploded at media execs during off the record meeting. Quote, "It was a fucking firing squad." Yeah, they had all the top people in there. Zucker from CNN, George Stephanopoulos, basically told them all to go to hell, more or less. It's going to be interesting, these Trump press conferences. I mean, is he only going to call on Fox News? But I'm just going to do one screen share of this headline. If I can get to it. Here it is. Trump exploded at media execs. Yep, here it is. CNN, ABC, Fox News, NBC all visited Donald Trump at his Trump Tower penthouse for an off-the-record meeting. The hour-long powwow included top execs from network and cable news, NBC's Deborah Turness, Lester Holt, Chuck Todd, James Goldstein, Stephanopoulos, David Muir, Martha Raddatz, CBS's Nora O'Donnell, Charlie Rose, Christopher Issam, Gail King, Bill Shine from Fox News, Jack Abernathy, Jay Wallace. NBC was there. Oh, Phil Griffin and CNN's Jeff Zucker and Aaron Burnett. I would have really liked to have heard that record. I wish it was on the record if we could actually hear that recording. It was like a fucking firing squad, one source told the Post. Trump started with Jeff Zucker, that's CNN, and said, "I hate your network. Everyone at CNN is a liar, and you should be ashamed." Well, we all know that, but I guess when you watch it time after time, you just expect them to lie. You don't take anything they say seriously, and you vote for whoever they're dissing. So the meeting was a total disaster. The TV execs and anchors went in there thinking they would be discussing the access they would get to Trump administration, but instead they got a Trump-style dressing down. Must have been like a Yankee Marshall chat. Yeah, but the Post adds that meeting took place in a big boardroom, and there were about 30 or 40 people, including the news anchors from all the networks. Trump kept saying, we're in a room of liars, the deceitful, dishonest media who got it all wrong. He addressed everyone in the room, calling the media dishonest, deceitful liars. And he called off Jeff Zucker by name. Said everyone at CNN was a liar. That's just funny. That's just hilarious. Well, got a lot of shit going on in the world, too. The U.S. is sending all kinds of military forces and equipment and armored divisions, looks like, to Europe, to the Baltic states. I think Obama wants to stick it to Putin somehow. Hopefully he doesn't push the button on his last day in office and just say, blame George Bush. Oh, man. I feel like I got enough guns and ammo right now, but definitely I'm going to be stocking up on canned food and, working on my food preps. Because, it's just, this world's getting fucking crazy, especially internationally. And the debt bubble, we're getting real close to that 20 trillion mark. It's like 19 trillion 870 billion or something like that, and rising. And I don't see how, he could wind up, rebuilding the military, spending a ton more money. And I don't know when it's going to pop. And it's just really impossible to know whether it's going to happen where we have hyperinflation like Venezuela. And instead of the chart that I showed you was the dollar versus the Bolivar. But what if it's gold or silver versus the dollar, or gold and silver versus the Dow Jones? The buying power of the dollar could. Right now, it's going up and up and up. And because all the other currencies are going down and down and down. And so if people want, it's going to be hard for the U.S. to sell things to other countries. U.S. companies, how are we going to sell anything to any other country if nobody can afford whatever we make because the dollar keeps going up and up and up? So, and it's not really, maybe China is devalued their currency by 6%, but a lot of it is just like Brexit, the pound is going down. How can anybody in Britain afford to buy anything from the U.S.? We would literally have to give them our guns like it started out in the beginning because they couldn't afford to buy them. And we all know that they have some good bushcrafters and knife makers there in the UK, but I think my friends there, I would like them each to have a good working firearm. But anyway, there's not much I can do about that because I don't think I'm allowed to mail guns to my friends there. The International Treaty Convention or something like that. I forget what it's called, the ITC or something like that. Maybe somebody out in the gun channel side knows why I can't do that, but I'm sure I can't, so I won't. But that I found that 1940 National Rifle Association, American Rifleman advertisement, really enlightening. All right, well, so much for Zero Hedge. If there's anything else good on here. Japanese troops deployed to South Sudan, risking first overseas conflict since World War II. Wow, what the hell are they doing in South Sudan? Why would anybody want to go to South Sudan? Was a more important question. Isn't it hot there? Let's see what it says. Salute the rising sun. I'm glad there are allies now and that we're no longer at war with Japan. That was a terrible war. And the best thing about any war is to be over. And so I hope we can stay out of any war. So I think in the earlier chat, I did nuke Chicago on, there's a website that simulates, I think it's Nuclear Secrecy. If you Google it, and it has a simulator for, nuclear attack effects, and you can either do the effect circles of the thermal blast, the radiation perimeter, and the thermal heat, or you can just do an animated mushroom cloud, and it's I think I nuked Chicago because DanO was there, and it was. I forget what we were talking about before, but he said something critical, so I said I'm going to nuke Chicago, and that was funny as shit. It was on the Early Watch show, right, with Jesse James. I try and make it there if I have coffee in the morning. At least it's in the morning here in Hawaii, right before the sun comes up. Yeah, so Putin is not the best guy in the world, so I understand why Obama might be pissed at him. It would be nice if we could get through the next few years without, triggering a shooting war with the country that has the most nuclear weapons, because regular guns aren't going to defend anybody from nuclear weapons. Let's see. On gunchannels.com/prepper, I posted some interesting links. The top 50 prepper blogs link, why you shouldn't talk to the police link, lecture by a police officer and a law professor, and also, what other video was it? The playlist from Sophie Daly's medicinal and herbal gardening kit, and it had how to make tinctures, different kinds of plants, and how to make all kinds of stuff. It was pretty interesting. You really need, it's like to watch that list if you're into prepping and with a notepad and just write everything down. And there's a lot of videos on that playlist. It's like 30 videos or something. So if and knowledge is something you can take with you as a prepper that doesn't put any weight in your bug out bag or your backpack. And I mean, my kitchen sink, everything but the kitchen sink bug out bag is like already 40 pounds. So, and that was without water. So, my first aid kit is about 20 pounds. The bag is bigger. There's room for more stuff, but, and I think my hydration pack, All this without water is about 5 pounds. So it's like my lightweight. That's the Camelback Mule. It's the lightweight deal for short day hikes and excursions behind enemy lines, wherever the enemy lines are. I don't know. So yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna hit Costco, buy some food, some bunch of canned stuff. See what else they have there that I might need. Probably a new UPS. My old one gave up the ghost that I got there. And all you can do is just there's been all kinds of talk about Hillary. Oh yeah, Hillary Clinton supporters have been calling the electoral college people that have been tasked with voting, casting their votes in the electoral college, and threatening their lives if they vote for Trump. It's just the election is over and Hillary lost, so suck it up, Buttercup. It's just fucking going and calling up and emailing death threats to the electoral college people. It's just kind of stupid, but especially since you can get thrown in jail for doing that, I assume. But it may take a new administration to throw those people in jail. Jeff Sessions is going to be, it looks like, the new attorney general, assuming Trump makes it alive to the inauguration. Some people who have figured out that killing him would be definitely throw the electoral college into chaos. So I hope the Secret Service is on the job and doing a good job there. And I know that they've blocked off some streets and stuff in New York. Let's see if anybody does want to join in the chat. You can jump in. There's a link in the video description. Got a small amount of viewers out there, so thank you for watching. And I try and do an interesting chat every Monday. And sometimes I'm intelligent and insightful, and sometimes I'm not. But I've always got my zombie Glock with me. So let's see. I definitely decided what else we were talking about on gun channels. Slugs, and I want to pick up some more slugs. I've only got like 1 or 2 boxes of shotgun slugs. So I think tomorrow after Costco, or on the way to Costco, hit the gun shop. Let's see. Not too much else going on. I'm going to see what's happening on the gun channels and the YouTube chat. It's hard to keep up all this stuff. Let's see. There's got to be a reason why they're going into Japan. And Japan is going into Sudan, but I would guess oil. Do they have oil in Sudan? All right. Let's see. Gun channel side. I see DF2 Dot and DanO. And let's see what's happening on the YouTube side. Not too much right now. Type something. All right. Gold, silver. It is so hard to tell what's going to happen. It's super hard. It's just I've got a feeling, but I'm not an advisor, and listening to my feelings, if I had a dollar for every mistake I made in my life, I would be a millionaire. But it looks to me like the silver is going down, and the gold is going down for a little while. Before it's going to go down before it goes up, and a lot of that has to do with the strength of the dollar. It's just the dollar is surging, so the dollar buys more silver, so the price that forces the price down. As far as what's happening in India, there was like some panic buying of gold and silver, but it's because their currency is worthless, and there are limits to how much people can turn in, and it's just so it's very unpredictable as far as I think eventually there's going to be some kind of parabolic price jump where it's just a gap up. But it looks to me like in the near term future, it's going down. I mean, it's just when the dollar goes up, versus other currencies, that has an effect. But I think the main problem is going to be how are we going to sell anything in the United States of America to other countries if the dollar keeps rising versus every other currency on the planet? Nobody will be able to afford anything that we make. you know, it's forget about how much the labor costs are. It's just the dollar keeps rising. So, uh, it's like almost pointless to make anything in America. And I know that Ford said they're not going to move their plants to Mexico, and that's a wonderful thing. They're not going to move their jobs to Mexico, and because I don't know if it was because Trump said he would impose a 35% tariff on any company that left America, just built a plant in Mexico, and moved all the jobs down there. But yeah, boy, that our next president is going to have a very, very difficult job, and dealing with, uh, you know, Putin is not the nicest guy in the world. I just hope we can deal with him without having to start World War III and World War III, because that's one that nobody's going to win. And I don't know about any of you, but I do not have 10 years worth of food if there's a 10-year nuclear winter. Um, and I don't even think I could steal that much food. Even if I had a posse, went on a food, rampage, stealing rampage, either buying, stealing, begging, or borrowing as much, many bags of rice and beans as possible. 10 years is a lot of food. And if there's a nuclear war and there's no photosynthesis because, the debris is all thrown into the atmosphere. I do need to dig up that website I used in the morning and post it on we have gunchannels.com/prepper if you're on gun channels. And I try and post useful, prepper kind of links. And if anybody else has some good prepper links, feel free to post it on there. Because I think it helps everybody out to have it all that stuff in one location, and links to blogs, links to video playlists that are useful, and so people can get the knowledge they need to survive if the shit ever does hit the fan. Because it's best to learn it all now, because who knows if the internet is going to work. A couple EMP attacks, some cyber warfare, and it's like, who knows. So it's really hard. The thing that's interesting about prepping is that you really have to be like multidimensional in the way you do it. There's so many aspects of it. Shelter, water, food, and guns and ammo are the fun part. I think a lot of people on gun channels have some kind of ammunition stockpile. Maybe not as much as they should, but better than most other people who don't even know how to use a firearm. So that's definitely a right people should explore if they haven't. But probably if you're watching this channel, you've got you've at least hopefully started down that path of being responsible for your own security. And I do wish we had more classes out here on the Big Island, or any classes out here. I'm wondering if there's going to be if we get a National Carry Act, if they're going to give in and actually just create a Hawaii-based, way to get a carry permit. But I doubt it. I think I'm going to have to go get one through the mail or visit another state and get one in person. So somebody said that in Utah you can get it by mail, but I guess when that National Carry Act passes, it'll become blatantly clear how to do it. And especially if you're on gun channels, there'll be a lot of people, queuing up like they're queuing up. It won't be as bad as the lines to exchange money in India were the last couple of days. People changing all their old worthless currency for the new currency that the government printed up in secret to spread out. And that's the kind of thing they do in secret. And so they're saying Australia is going to be next. It looks like, and maybe some Indonesian countries, but yeah, Australia, that's part of the British Commonwealth, and uh, so yeah, it's like, what do you prepare for? And if the U.S. becomes like Brazil, the thing is, I think about 2% of Americans actually own gold or silver. So I don't think the government is going to be super concerned, if 2% of the American people who actually own gold and silver, make some kind of windfall profit. I mean, they'll try and figure out how to tax it, I'm sure. They do have windfall profit taxes, and so trading it for what you need might be better, but than trying to get whatever the new cash is. So but the way things are going with the if they want to go for a cashless society and uh, ban cash, then it looks like it's gonna be some kind of, they're preparing the world for some kind of world currency, and so that would be the end of the dollar as a reserve currency of the world, and right now it is. So that's the one thing that's keeping that debt bubble from popping right now. And I know I did post that link, I think, to did I post the debt bubble, world us debt usdebtclock.org, I believe is what it is. I know that I punched it up. Also, I when I punched it up in the early watch show, I started having internet problems. So either Skynet is out there, or just the information flowing from that, because there's a lot of things, little statistics that flow on that little web page that opens up from that website. Um, Tons of little interesting numbers, scary numbers. But anyway, see, I don't know if anybody else is going to dare to come on the Lock and Load show. So let me see who's out there. Got some people watching. Lurkers. People are just lurking, it looks like. Lurkers. All right. The deployment of 350 soldiers is in line with Japanese security legislation to expand military's role overseas. I'm just trying to figure out why they're deploying troops at all to Sudan. But I don't know anything about Sudan, so I'm sure it makes sense to them. All right. What else is happening on Zero Hedge? When I research all this stuff, I do find that a lot of the times it's just there's a lot of websites that just on YouTube that just reproduce like Russian TV stuff, which is basically Putin's propaganda channel. And but sometimes there's interesting stuff, but you have to take everything with a grain of salt. Um, so I don't think Zero Hedge ever does that. So they just collect articles, interesting articles from around the net, and publish them. Canadian bank starts charging negative 0.75 rate on most foreign cash balances. BMO Nesbitt Burns. It's the market rate interest charge. So you lose 0.7%, 75%, 0.75% for keeping your money in a bank. Now you can see why they want to force your cash into a bank. Because if you have cash, that's a currency that they can't, especially in India where it's a 90% cash transaction society. And, especially if they have tourist economies where people go to the airport to visit India because it's an interesting country. And, they can't get money, they can't get cash to pay, for whatever they want. So, that way, the credit cards and the banks control everything. The government controls the banks. The banks, it's like in Venezuela. They just, if you buy a meal in cash, as opposed to the credit cards will cost like 5,000% more for the same exact meal. Why? Because you use the credit cards, and the governments and the banks take a cut. So that's why people do exchange for cash, even in Venezuela, bolivars. Trump says he will issue executive order on the first day in office, withdrawing U.S. from TPP. I know that Obama was at the Asian Pacific Economic Conference today. And the whole thing is China has some like free Asian bank where it's something like the U.S. It sounds to me like what China is trying to set up is something like the U.S. has in the what's the name of the bank, that the National Trade Bank. Basically, they help help companies with short-term liquidity to make deals go through. Forgot the name of the U.S. version of that. But China's trying to set that up and kind of replace TPP with something that they can control and profit from and help their businesses. But I think the main problem the U.S. is going to have is just the dollar keeps becoming so valuable in relation to everything else that nobody will be able to afford to buy anything from America, whatever it is we still make. Largest U.S. Bitcoin exchange is extremely concerned with IRS crackdown targeting its users. Everything is not awesome. Don't be the turkey. Oh, that's great for Thanksgiving. Yeah, I need to go get some turkey stuff. I've been putting it off. Probably shouldn't get a whole pumpkin pie, but they sell them at Costco, and I love pumpkin pie. So tomorrow, pumpkin pie, turkey, couple shotgun slugs for the gun shop on the way. To see what's happening over there down at Kona Guns. This John Maudlin, this post-election stock market rally won't last. Well, like I said, if I had a dollar for every mistake I made, I'd be a millionaire. So anyway, all right, that's enough of Zero Hedge for now. DanO, throw a topic at me. What are you working on? So on Gun Channels, I'm at gunchannels.com/HVS. And I also have the /prepper that I post all my prepper links on. So check that out when you get a chance. My friend at Madras Arsenal, he had some reviews on MREs and some, I told a French World War I kind of ration. It looked like Campbell's soup and something else, some kind of MRE. And I said he should get some French wine to go with that because they usually scrounge that up when they were in France. But he likes to do MRE reviews. I try and save all my emergency foods for emergencies and eat something healthy. But I am looking forward to camping out and going out and spending some time outdoors at the range. setting up a little camp there. As soon as my foot heals up, this damn thing has been taking forever. Been hanging out, cleaning guns, loading magazines. Okay, I bought a new gun stuff. I bought a new shell deflector for my Tavor. I don't know. Tavor don't get no love sometimes from the people on gun channels, but I like it. Probably because it's just it's like a very expensive rifle, and it's not as expensive as it used to be. But anyway, the shell deflector, I think it's Percival. I got mine from the Bullpup Armory, so when it gets here, it's basically it's a little taller and it's angled because 223 it doesn't come out the same way that 5.56 does. So, and I like my 223. I need to use soft points, or VMAX or Zombie Max or soft. I think I have Ultra Max soft points in 223, and those are all 223 Rem. So, and since they come out at a slightly different angle than the 5.56 do. You need, if you shoot, I mean, I have mine Tavor set up for right-handed, but if you do shoot it left-handed with the ejection still coming on the right side, if you have the old deflector, depending on what kind of 223, it could just hit you in the face, the shell casing. So that's been on my to-do list for a while. And so I headed over to Bullpup Armory and picked up that and a Tavor bench pad for working on it. And it's been a while since I took it out shooting. Last time I took out my AK and my CZ527, and they have that has the advantage of both of those are 7.62 by 39 rifles. The CZ has an 18.5-inch barrel and a Leupold VX3i varminter reticle rifle scope. And I'm going to try and take all my long guns out next time. Since state of Hawaii has regulations where you can't just take your any regular, you can't take non-hunting firearms out there of a non-hunting caliber, and they define the pound pressure out of the muzzle force. Found force pressure out of the muzzle that is the minimum for hunting in the regs somewhere. And so you either have to have, if you have a 357, it has to be like at least a 5-inch barrel, and mine's a snubby. So if you have a 44 Magnum, you're okay, or anything bigger than that, you're probably okay. But I don't have that, so it's no fair. There's no pistol range on the whole west side of the island. I would have to literally go over the volcano to over Mauna Kea to or Kilauea, or Mauna Loa and Kilauea, to get to Hilo, where there's some kind of indoor range, although it's officially not a legal range because it doesn't have it's kind of like everybody knows it's there, but they don't have an official permit because their air conditioning and filters aren't they didn't spend the required $500,000 on some super awesome lead filters and stuff. So I guess I'd have to bring a mask, which I have. So, or at least a face mask to keep the lead out of my face. Oh, I see Northwest Prepper made it. Let me unmute you. Maybe I can hear you actually talking. Oh, I don't know. It seems to be able to hit the unmute button. I did say something nice about Northwest Prepper's channel. When I first started YouTube, I think one of the big channels, I can't remember her name, was just having a contest where people were like, she was having some kind of promotional thing where everybody was, you wanted to get everybody to say something nice about somebody else's channel and do a shout out or something. So I did that too. And Northwest Prepper was one guy that I picked. He's got a lot of basic prepper skills and knowledge. I think he was in the military, but thanks for coming on. I hope you can get your mic to work if you have one. That picture from Two Fish, I remember that. It's been on there for a while. Didn't even see you come in. But thanks for showing up. Anyway, give him some time to try and get his microphone to work. But you should check out Northwest Prepper's channel if you're into prepping. He was off of YouTube for a year or something, or two, I think. When he moved from somewhere in the Midwest to the Pacific Coast, and then he got busy. So, which is a good thing, because that usually means you're making money. So let's give him a minute. It's probably at this hour, I doubt anybody from the UK is going to show up, but I did send out links. So I'm going to hit the refresh button on something here. Right. So I'm not sure exactly how long this chat has been going so far. Just me rambling and babbling and stream of consciousness. It looks like I'm getting close to an hour. Can I actually talk for an hour without saying anything of any significance? Well, I don't know. Yeah, you gotta. I hear sound.
Are you there?
Hey, Northwest Prepper.
This is him.
This is Hawaii Volcano Squad. Welcome to my hangout.
Finally able to talk to you.
Yeah, I've known you on YouTube for like what, 8 years or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So what got? I mean, I think I originally met you because some girl who has a gun channel was starting some promotion for shout outs, pick a channel that you like and do a shout out kind of thing, and I liked your channel because, but what got you? You were in the military and then you got into prepping, because I remember your videos from way back, and then you were off for like a year or something.
Yeah, I was in the military for 11 years, and
thank you for your service to America.
No problem. No problem.
Somebody has to do it.
And it was my honor. And I basically got into it because I had watched the other people do it, and I thought, well, shoot, if they can do it, I can do it too. Yep. So I decided to go ahead and do it and give it a try, and it worked.
Yeah, you've got like 1,000 viewers, and you haven't even 1,000 subscribers, and you haven't even been on for like a year. What happened? Was you got busy when you moved to the Pacific Coast?
Yeah, I was in Montana. My wife's dad got sick, really sick, so we went over there for a year to help him. And in that, I had a appendicitis, so I had my appendix removed, and just a lot of things going on. So I had to pull away for a little while. And
yeah, I got
decided.
Go ahead.
I said we decided we were going to move back to Oregon, and we did that. And I was going to school to finish up for my electrical license, and I finally completed that and was able to get the time again to get back on YouTube.
Awesome. So what are you going to be working on?
As far as
your videos, you're going to be doing lots of gun. Like today you did a like $145, I think, Heritage single action pistol revolver.
Right.
And
yeah, it's one my son just bought, and we were able to take it out. We had some nice weather, no rain today, so we took that out and tried it.
What caliber was it again?
It's a 22 long rifle, but it also shoots 22 mag.
Okay.
And so we were able to take that out and try it today, and it worked really well.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of 22 myself, although one did save my life once.
Yeah.
But you know, I guess my dad has a bunch of 22 stuff, but I like the big boy calibers, I guess, for lack of a better term. But hey, so how old's your son?
The one that bought is 16.
16.
Yeah.
That's a good age. I think I still had a BB gun at that age myself.
They've
But I
all
mean,
been shooting for a long time.
when I switch to an AK, it's just like the BB gun except more of a kick.
There you
Iron
go.
sights. Iron sights is iron sights. And,
Yep.
and I was a demon with a BB gun when I was a kid. I must have shot a million rounds with my BB gun. And I remember the first day I shot my AK, just took it out of the box, didn't do anything to it. It still had the crappy wood stock on it. And, from Romania, and so the FFL was at the range, and he has a scope on an AR, and there's like a target, 100 yards away, a metal gong that he set up. So he takes a shot at it through a scope, on a bench, and he says, "Okay, let's see if you can hit it." So I pull out my AK, put it in a magazine. It's iron sights, ping. I hit it. I hit it, and the guy was like shocked. and then
Nice.
and then he says, "Let me see if you can do that again." So I said, "Okay." Ping, hit it again, and then everybody from the range came over and shake my hand like I was Wild Bill Hickok or something. But it wasn't me. I didn't do anything really. I mean, they built that rifle, so it just, you know, to make regular people into good riflemen, basically is. And I love my AK a lot, so it's just fun to shoot, and you hit what you aim at, and I don't know what more you want from a rifle. It always goes bang, and um, I just had fun. It's just a fun rifle to have. So, but boy, if I was going to get any, any kid a gun, a rifle, that would be the one I would get them because, uh, I mean, ARs are good too. I don't own one, but a lot of people like them. So what are you going to be working on your channel though?
Um, I've got a lot of stuff coming up. We're going to be doing some videos on solar and putting that together, and our batteries and stuff like that. I've got a lot of that coming up here real soon. So kind of excited about that, really.
Cool. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good. I think I saw Comms Prepper had some stuff on his solar system, and there's it kind of expensive, I think, to set up some of those systems. How much are you going to spend on your solar system?
Well, I've got 3 videos out there on my channel right now for the solar system I've purchased. You can get into a relatively cheap solar system, and I went through that on one of my videos. You can get a solar panel, 100-watt solar panel from Home Depot for $100. You
Really?
can get a battery, marine grade battery for $100, and you can go to Harbor Freight and get a inverter for $100. So relatively for $300, you could have solar going.
Yeah, I don't think we have a Harbor Freight on the Big Island, although I've heard that the one might be coming one of these days. But yeah, I
Well,
might have missed some of your videos because I on this earlier this year I had open heart surgery, so I kind of was in the hospital, laid up for a while, and I was actually binge watching prepper videos. I was in recovering, on my cell phone because I didn't have a computer, so it was funny. Um,
wow. Well, hopefully you're doing better.
Yes, I'm doing much better. I just have a sprained foot that isn't letting me walk. But basically, walking is your therapy to get
Right.
everything going again. And when I was on Oahu, I was staying in a place where I could just walk to the beach, this called the Kuli'o'o beach, and you could just literally walk out 500 yards, and the sand was soft sand. It was only about an inch or two deep of water all the way out to where the surf was breaking out, like 500 or 600 yards from the shoreline. And people would always bring their dogs and to go running through the surf. Especially Labrador seemed to like it. And they're, I guess they're water dogs. There would always be a little swarm of school of fish, and the dogs would be chasing fish all over the place. And it was the first chance when I got out of the hospital to actually talk to pretty girls in bikinis, because for like a month and a half in the hospital or whatever, I was just, the only girls I got to talk to were the nurses who would show up at 4 a.m., to draw blood,
Right.
and it was like, God, you get me out of here. But, finally things picked up a bit. And it was just great. I would just walk from where I was staying to the beach. That was a 1.5 mile walk there. Then I'd walk around the beach all day, and then I'd walk back at, towards the end of the day. And I could, the place where I was staying, they had I went to cardiac rehabilitation at Queens Hospital in Honolulu. They had a medical bus that took everybody to their medical appointments. So basically, sit on a walk on a treadmill twice a week and lift weights. And every time they'd make you walk faster and at a steeper angle. And that really, I think I just stopped eating crap and I lost 50 pounds really quick. So, because I think my body just started eating it off of getting the fat that it wasn't getting it was used to getting from the diet, but wasn't getting anymore. So it just peeled it right off of my body,
Right.
in like a month or two. And it's just like, wow. But, my regular bachelor diet of ice cream bars, Doritos, and beer didn't work out very well. So,
yeah, that's not real good for you.
But, I'm an American. Why can't I eat,
Yep.
ice cream bars, nachos, and beer for dinner every night?
I hear you.
And then I would have bacon for breakfast. So, but
Yeah, the
don't
bacon
eat
burgers.
don't eat that anymore. It's like that anymore. But other than just having to take a few meds, I'm fine now. But boy, that chest incision pain was something. They cut your chest right in half, right to the sternum, and it was. You have to really want to live to get up out of bed, because it hurts like a son of a bitch.
I'm sure.
And so it was basically the main thing I learned was that when I you sign the consent form, the medical consent form for the operation, that you just stop and think, well, if something goes wrong and I don't live, I won't be able. The thing that I will miss the most is I won't be able to talk to my dad anymore, because I just figured out I'd rather argue with my dad about anything than talk to anybody else,
Right.
and because I love him so much. And so when I recovered, and my dad was at the hospital, visited me, and it was just so great, to talk to him.
That's good.
And but you don't. But we have something in common, because he has the same. He had the same exact surgery when he was 59, and I had it when I was 52. So it's the same exact thing.
Not something you really want in common, I don't think.
Well, it was genetic, the way your body handles lipids and high density, low density cholesterol and all that shit. And
right.
But anyway, so you're going to be working on your solar videos, and more. You've already got some. What do you have to? I'm gonna have to go catch up on your videos.
Sure.
What are you putting out? More solar videos still, or some gun videos?
I'm going to put out some of those. I did another. I usually, when I go out, I'll group 2 or 3 videos at once. I'll shoot them on the same day, and I did that today. I've got a new shotgun I did. We've got some medical stuff we're going to do. I'm really cautious on how much I put out there as far as advice on medical or advice on weapons or anything like that. When I was in the military, I was a weapons tech. I ran a range at Fort Benning, and I had some of the best shooters come through my range. I mean, pretty much if you shot, you came through my range. And so I really try giving out as little info on that as I can, because you get too many trolls and people trying to modify what you're trying to tell them, and you can't be their hands-on to instruct. So I really am. I don't give out too much of that.
Yeah, well, it's the internet, you know. If you're nobody's trolling you, you're doing something wrong. So,
Right.
you know, you just it bounces off of you after a while, you know.
Yeah, it's got to. It's got to. But yeah, I've got some of that coming up. Like I said, we're going to be doing some medical stuff, just some medical bags that we've purchased that have a lot of good material in them and things like that.
Yeah, I had recently subscribed to Skinny Medic. He has a little store that he sells stuff out of, and he's done a lot of stuff too. But I just finished up. I bought a new bag for my first aid bag because what happened was I got a gift of like about a couple years back of my some survival SOS survival first aid bag, you know, and it was red and it was a cheap bag from China. So I started adding a few items that I thought would be useful, and then it got too heavy and the straps broke, even though it just was so cheap. So I bought a better bag for it, a 511 LB Lima bag, and that thing is built like a tank. And it's got a huge carrying capacity too. So, but I'll watch because I have, you know, I picked up a lot of medical knowledge recently, you know, because I had to change my own bandages, uh, you know, after I get out of the hospital, like for my, you know, they take they took 4 grafts out of my leg, you know, sections of vein. So I had to constantly change the bandages, you know, and I learned about, okay, I need to get wound washed to change the bandages, you know, to clean out the wounds every time, you know, or they don't heal. And, so, then, you know, learning how to change bandages, and they have all different kinds of bandages. And, you know, so I got a medical education the hard way.
Yeah, yeah,
But it's still useful knowledge. So,
sure it is.
you know, there's a lot of good stuff out there. I just have to resist the temptation to buy stuff and think I'm prepping because it's it's so easy to go on and on, you know, some websites and just click the add to cart button and say, okay, now I'm prepared, you know. But
Right. Well, and
it's
I'm pretty lucky here. I've got a group around me of friends and stuff that we kind of look out for each other and take care of each other and kind of if one's short on one area, the other one helps out too.
Yeah, that's really good if you have people that have lots of knowledge, because that's really the main thing you need to be good at, you know, prepping is just knowledge, and it doesn't weigh anything, and hopefully you don't have to pay too much for your knowledge. But
Right.
that's what's good about YouTube. There's a lot of prepping people on YouTube, because I know you had a lot of like basic prepping videos back when I was first watching your stuff.
And I did.
Yeah, and
I didn't want to get too, again, it's like the gun thing. You don't want to get too in depth because then you get called out for everything. Oh, that's a dumb idea, or this is stupid. So you just kind of give little hints of what you're doing, little hints of things that you've seen. You know, I try not going again into depth on it. I just try giving a little advice here or there, you know, on what I do.
okay, I'm just looking at gunchannels.com and looking at some comments from DanO on there. Um, you can't see that, but I'm just laughing at what he's typing. I'm going to throw him a link. Do you want me to throw you a link, DanO? He's listening on the Gun Channel side. Yeah, I did join this place called gunchannels.com, and it's like free, and there's just a lot of gun everybody with a gun channel on YouTube. You know, they it's like a Second Amendment rights kind of organization, you know, and I think it was helpful during this last election. Boy, were you at all like, you know, what, like just panicking in case Hillary got elected? You know, were you at all?
Well, I wasn't necessarily panicking, but if she would have won, I had a fairly substantial sum of money set aside because I knew what way I was going to have to go, me and several other people. But with Trump getting elected, that gives us it buys some time, I think.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to want to welcome DanO to the panel. World famous gun channels, daily gun show person, and I think he was on the early watch today.
Yes, I'd like to make it clear that I've made everything Wayne Lapierre is and is not in his career, and I'd like to thank you as well as not take responsibility for that.
Yeah. So I was out today running errands. What happened on the day I did the early watch, and then I needed a break, because that was like I wake up first thing in the morning, I have like 2 cups of coffee, and then I jump on the early watch, and by the time the second cup was done, I was too tired to deal with another show. I mean, how do you do 2 shows in a row like that, man?
Try to let the other people do as much talking as possible.
Okay, say less. Okay, that'll be hard for me, but I can try it tomorrow.
I mean, you just did an hour on your own. I mean, that's hard.
Yeah,
if you're trying to fill all that time space, you're trying not to do a whole lot of
Well, I did have a lot of topics to cover. I think I covered, all kinds of stuff. They pulled in all the currency in India, and they're going to do it in Australia next. And
now that really surprised me. I was not aware of the currency thing in India.
Yep, they did. Well, they did it, but they needed it to be a surprise because if the word got out, they were printing all the replacement currency for the rupiah.
I mean, if you look at, for any country to literally physically change its currency like that, all the people that are involved, for that not to get out is amazing. I mean, because you would think somebody on the inside, well, they might want to at least tell their families so they could do something ahead of time. The fact that it didn't get out is pretty amazing to me.
Completely.
It wasn't like it just was like 10 people in the back room in a printing press.
No. Yeah, when it was pretty just amazing that they did that, but it's because their whole tax system there is just they have luxury taxes, duty taxes, they tax you if you're too rich, they tax everything. So if they control all the currency, then it's and make it basically they wanted to make sure that they call it black market is what they say they're trying to eliminate, but really they just want to be able to tax everything. So anyway,
you think think it's about generating revenue or something?
Yeah, which is and controlling people, monitoring people.
Ultimately, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, you control people's currency, and you control them, what they do. So
sounds like our Democratic Party.
Well, I'm just glad we got through this election in one piece. I'm assuming we get to the inauguration, we will have got through the election in one piece.
Yeah. I certainly hope that is nothing but talk. I'm sure that like there's always nuts out there that want to do something regardless of who gets elected.
Yeah, the electoral college electors are getting death threats on the phone and via email and in the mail that if they vote for Trump, they're going to get killed. So.
Well, these people don't understand there's a reason that electoral college is in place. It's so that your big cities don't overrule the mass majority of the states and elect a president for you.
Right.
I mean, it'd be easy for the big cities to elect our president for us. This way it gives each state a voice.
Yeah, and basically it's like that way that the candidates just don't have to. They could just go to New York and Los Angeles and maybe Chicago,
Dallas,
make a
Philly.
few promises and make a few
Exactly.
promises, and then they win. So to deliver whatever pork barrel projects the cities want. So
see, and I'd like to see it get split up even more so than what it is. And I'll give you, for instance, like in my state, Portland, Oregon, Salem, Oregon, our capital, they all vote in, or give our electorals for like Hillary Clinton. What I would like to see is we have 7 electoral votes, and each of our counties count as X amount of an electoral vote. So you win 10 counties, you get X amount of electoral vote. The other, 30 counties would give whoever the other remaining electoral vote. I'd like to see it go that way. That way, Portland can't give our electoral votes to, say, Hillary Clinton. Because if you look at the electoral map over this last election, 8/10 of the state went toward Donald Trump, but our electorals went to Hillary Clinton.
Damn. Is that something that can be done at the state level, or does something have to change nationally for that to be altered?
I would think that would be a state level deal.
Because I'm not sure. I mean, I love the Constitution, but some of parts like the Electoral College are a mystery. Like I'm sure they are to most people. How it works.
Well, and if you look at California, it was the same way. You look up and down your I-5 corridor where it went all the way from San Diego to LA, San Jose, up into San Francisco and Sacramento. They all went for Hillary. The rest of that state was red. Just the I-5 corridor like here was blue. And that's in a very liberal state.
Yeah, I think there were in San Francisco, they were threatening to secede from the union or something. And everybody else was saying, please go.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My dad lives there, so I know he's sick of the laws and the new Prop 63 that passed. And they're going to try and get that into other states, too. But,
well, and it's a shame because they just got rid of their last remaining gun store there. I saw, what was it, last year?
Oh, yeah, in San Francisco, right? The last gun store went bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yep.
And I'm sure there were people in the streets celebrating that.
In San Francisco. Oh,
yeah, as a victory,
In San Francisco. Well, I mean, but, I live in a state that's dictated by one city, Chicago.
Did you see the screen share that I had at the start of my chat, DanO, with the
from earlier today?
Yeah, with the let me hit it again. Send a gun to defend a British home from November 1940 from the American Rifleman.
No, I didn't see that one.
All right,
I saw that.
I screen shared it. Yeah, that's just an amazing piece of history. They were collecting up all the guns, and then then they realized that I don't know what they did with them, but I guess they needed more guns. Since, but I don't know, they had to ship them across the Atlantic to get there. I don't think if they put them on
defend the British home.
Yeah, that's just an amazing piece of history from the American Rifleman.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know if any actually landed there and if they got distributed to the countryside. But because they were worried about the Nazis and the Germans coming over the channel.
Yeah, Operation Sea Lion or something. I forget what the Germans called it.
But yeah,
luckily they lost the Battle of Britain.
Yes,
and then the Russian winter defeated them in Operation Barbarossa, after they killed a hell of a lot of people on the Eastern Front. That's where my grandfather fought. The second Polish Corps from Osh-Kyrgyzstan he fought the Nazis as a sapper from Osh-Kyrgyzstan to Lublin, Poland, like marching and killing Nazis for a couple of years, I think. But I thought that, but I do have a lot of friends in the UK from, doing chats on Fox Company Prepping, who has an interesting channel. I think he's been under the weather and lately, and he hasn't done his chats in a couple, I think 2 or 3 weeks because he's been recovering from some illness. But he's a pretty interesting prepper, and there's a lot of interesting bushcrafting and knife makers from the UK there because they don't have guns, so they're all into bushcrafting instead. I guess that's the guy thing to do. They have bushcrafting meetups and so it's interesting talking to someone from that perspective. And it helps me gain knowledge to go into their chats. And he's a real fun guy as far as just running chats. I'm not as funny as him, but I just do what I can. So,
but you're more funny looking, so feel good.
Oh,
about
yes, I am. I make up for it, so I have to make up for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was on the regular Daily Gun Show today, DanO? Because I missed it.
Let's see. Let me pull that up. But off the top of my head, I know we talked about the Gun Channel's Range Day out in Tulsa. And
that's where that show that you went to was. Who's that a picture of with you at the show?
Yeah, that's where I had the picture taken with Wayne.
Okay.
Up here. Was at the Wanamaker Gun Show.
Well, the Wanamaker Gun Show in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yep.
Yeah, that does look like Wayne.
Yeah.
You just.
Well, that's because it is Wayne.
Yeah, but you've seen him in a suit and tie on his, YouTube spots, and having makeup and everything.
The strange thing is that I was only used to him seeing, as we see him either through our computer screens or videos or on the TV, which he's always very straight-laced, very not necessarily doesn't come across very warm or anything. And when he doesn't have a camera shoved in his face or people expecting him, to give a formal presentation, he's a very warm guy to talk to.
Cool. Well, maybe
very outgoing. Putting that it's the people that make this happen, not the NRA.
That's true. I mean, Trump didn't win just because the NRA endorsed him. I mean, it was everybody that went out and voted, everybody that made a YouTube video, telling people to get registered, get out there and please vote, and
because somebody came up to him and said, thank you for helping us getting Trump into the office. And he says, it wasn't me or the organization. It was all of you. And he wasn't being recorded. No, was doing that, but they just actually, have him come out, and say something like that was very a different side of the individual than we normally see.
Yeah. So are we going to get him on gun channels?
Probably not.
Probably not. Well, you tried though, probably.
Hey, I got a picture. That's probably as close as that's as close as I will ever get.
That's okay. You did good. So what did you buy at the gun show? Anything?
I bought some. I consider it a prepper reloading kit.
Okay.
Now I'm sure you're saying I've never heard of such a thing. How is that possible?
Well, Northwest Prepper was saying he ran a range. Did you do reloading too?
We did. We reloaded for. Not everybody got reloaded for. Mainly, it was your teams that we did that for, and we had a staff of 18 guys we did that with.
Cool. And you're saying you ran the range at
Fort Benning.
Fort Benning.
Yeah.
Okay. For the uneducated, what state is that in?
Georgia.
Georgia. All right. That meant me, the uneducated. I think my dad may have, when he was in the reserves in the Army, he may have been there. But when you're in the Army, you get sent all over. So what did you get exactly, DanO, for your reloading there?
I get a lead component system that you can put in a 50 cal can, and if you want to reload from it, reload from it.
Okay.
Just literally a hand press.
Oh, a
not
hand
a single
press.
stage.
Okay.
I guess you could call it a single stage, but it's not to be mounted.
Okay.
And it's for literally, you want to do 10, you want to do 50, that's about it. It's for very low volumes type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know which ones you're talking about. I've seen them advertised.
Because I have no interest I cannot compete with, and I'm willing to pay somebody who can very much more easily and efficiently make me 1,000 rounds than I could ever make myself.
Right.
But I am very interested in knowing how to do it myself.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get into reloading unless I, get like a 50 caliber Barrett or a Lapua or some, exotic, round that cost a fortune.
The reason I'm doing it, and you touched on it, earlier, it's about knowledge.
That's right.
It's the same reason that, My first AR I bought. My second AR I assembled myself. So if anything goes wrong, I know how to take it all apart and put it all back together.
Well,
I mean,
see, and I have 3 videos. I did a series of 1, 2, 3 on my channel for reloading. Because I reload for everything, you name it, from my 300 Win Mags all the way down to my 223 to 40 Smith & Wesson. It's just a lot cheaper, and I believe in my ammo more so than factory. My accuracy level's higher, and I know my knockdown is higher with them.
awesome. Wow, I almost want to move to join your prepper group there, but
Well, and those are a few videos back when I was in Montana I had done. I don't know if you saw those or not, but again, I didn't give out a whole lot of information. It was more informative of, what it takes to get the job done, basically, if you wanted to get into the beginning stages of it.
are they still doing the prepper the reload chat on Sundays, DanO, on gun channels?
they didn't do it. Foose didn't do it this last Sunday, but he did it the week before.
Okay, is that on Foose's channel or?
Yeah, I think he calls it Reloading Bench or Reloader's Bench.
Reloader's Bench. Okay,
I think that's what he calls it over on Gun Channels.
yeah. So it's every other Wednesday is what it is, or every other Sunday. I mean, Sunday, or is it just?
Well, I
once in a while?
thought it was going to be every Sunday, but maybe it's turning into every other.
Okay. All right. So if anybody doesn't know, gunchannels.com is a platform. It's kind of for Second Amendment gun channels people and people that like guns, and it's free to join. Doesn't cost anything. And everybody kind of, it's like a big group of, it's like the gun Borg. It's the internet version of the gun Borg. There's lots of voices and lots of opinions, and generally everybody was, I know for this election was, well, there are a few people that said everybody should vote for independent candidate, for some reason, but I think most of the people were trying to get the Second Amendment guy elected that the NRA endorsed. But and I was definitely breathed a sigh of relief when it wasn't going to be Hillary. I think the whole
going the week of the elections, including the night of the election, I always believed that it was going to. First of all, I had no feeling one way or the other as to who was going to win, but I always thought it was going to be a very close race.
I didn't know, but at all, I didn't have a clue. It's hard for me to believe in anything after everything that I've seen. But I was like, okay, I've done everything I can do. I donated what I could donate to Trump, and I've done all the YouTube videos. I've talked to all my friends. I registered to vote. I have a link on my website of how in Hawaii you just click on it and you can register to vote. And Hawaii was not going to go Republican, but I did everything I could do. I got all the ammo, a ton of ammo, and some preps, and I finished my first aid bag, upgrade before the election. I was prepared, and that's about all I could do.
It's ironic that you mentioned that how Hawaii was never going to turn red, and of course Illinois, I think will probably, outside of the collar counties of Chicago, Illinois is all red. The only blue is, unfortunately, it's just too deep, is Chicago and the collar counties.
Well, I nuked Chicago.
39% of the votes in Illinois were for Trump. So it's not like it was some huge differential of like 90-10 or something like that.
And that goes back to what I was saying, even for my state. His vote didn't get counted the way he wanted because of Chicago, and the same thing happens to mine with Portland, Oregon, and Salem, Oregon, and the outskirts. The population isn't as dense, so I knew Oregon wasn't going to go for Trump either, just because of you've seen the news, all the riots and stuff they have. I'm still going to school to get my master's in electrical. I get done in June for it. And the other night, coming down the I-5, I-405, they had the whole road blocked off and traffic was backed up for 2 miles.
Yeah, they're saying they're gonna like they're gonna pay protesters to come in and like block into Washington for the inauguration and try and disrupt traffic and stuff.
I mean, if you go on Craigslist and look under like Chicago as an example, I've seen ads for people to come downtown and paying $15 an hour for political activism. Now they wouldn't say what you're doing, but $15 an hour to go and be politically active.
But I guess it's all if it's for one side. I mean, that's just yeah. Is that George Soros paying everybody, or is some PAC? Or
I mean, who knows where it's actually coming from, because it's all cash at the end of the day.
Well, that's interesting, because maybe we ought to Trump ought to call in all the currency, but no.
I mean, but this should come as no surprise. The only thing that might be a surprise is that we can actually see it. But the fact that it happens should not be a surprise.
No, really, it's just amazing. Do you think social media won the election? Because it's like if social media is the new media, and nobody pays, nobody believed anything they saw on CNN or MSLSD or it's just, if nobody believes what's on the networks, then it was just was it social media? Was it just America just saying, fuck you to the media, or and the government? It just.
Well, I wouldn't say, this is just my own perspective. First of all, there's some people that actually believe they're being told the truth. Then there's a group, and a certain group of people that believe that they're suspect of what they hear. They don't necessarily know which way it's telling them, but they're suspicious of what they hear. And then there's other people that believe they're just being lied to on everything. So if what I'll call three generally, different groups.
And at some point, you just reach the point where you don't give a shit anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, everybody thought Trump was crazy for tweeting out all the time, but basically what he was doing is staying relevant in people's minds all the time, making them talk about him. I know at work we did. Everybody was always talking about him. Oh, did you see what Trump tweeted out? Did you hear what he said?
How many followers does he have on Twitter?
I don't know. More than I do.
I think it's like 29 million or something.
But a lot of people were hearing his tweets indirectly, like it would go to a rebroadcaster and then it would make the news and then they would talk about the tweet.
Yeah. It was just over and over.
So he was controlling what the media was talking about by tweeting.
Well, they had said that, and he's even said it in his interviews, that he had his own team going to the cities and counties, outlying counties, and taking their own polls. And he wouldn't share that information. I mean, he said it himself. And that was smart of him to do. The average candidate can't do that, but he had the funds to be able to do it.
Funds he had. I mean, I donated $10 to him, so that I don't know if that put him over the top, but it a lot of people did donate to him, and I always got constant emails during the election for more money, but it was just that the Democrats couldn't get their talking points out because everybody was always talking about Trump's tweets.
Yeah. I mean, they said Hillary had like $3 billion in free publicity, from the
well, it was
ABC,
like
NBC and stuff. But
and she spent money on TV advertising, but I think at some point people stopped watching TV and they went to the internet instead, or something, or Twitter, or
I did. I was on my phone on Facebook getting information, when I was at work on lunch break or on my breaks and stuff.
Cool.
I mean, normally when we have an incumbent president, that president will receive a boatload of free publicity just because he's the incumbent president. So whenever he speaks, there's going to be a camera there.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you're not an incumbent and you're just one of many, you're fighting for limited eyeballs and ears, to hear your message.
Mm-hmm. But
and
not with
he was
Trump.
able to capitalize because there was no incumbent.
This
That
was
was
like
to
some
his
kind of
benefit.
guerrilla marketing election kind of deal. It was just, off the rails, the whole thing. I hope the next
Well, he
election.
demanded the spotlight is what he did. I mean, he never backed down. He said what was on his mind, and it just blew people away.
He commanded the spotlight is what he
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, I just
And they
hope
were more than
he's
happy to hand it to him.
Yeah.
I hope he's as good of a commander in chief as he was a campaigner. So, because America needs. He's got a tough job. You got economic problems, military problems, foreign policy problems, environmental problems probably, and I don't know what the hell is going on.
Well,
But he has a lot of stuff to deal with. He's going to be a busy person.
Well, and don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to compare him to Ronald Reagan or anything, but Reagan had just as many problems when he came in. I was a young kid at the time.
Me too.
But I still remember, Reagan. I mean, he was the first president I really grew up with. But when he came in, everybody said the same thing about him. He's just some actor, what's he going to do? And look what he was able to do for the country.
Well,
I mean, it took him almost 40 years to wreck it.
But yeah, I mean, well, everybody, if you were a kid, do you remember your dad getting up at 5 a.m. to wait in a gas line every other day?
Right.
For the number, and that's the main reason. But I mean, he was. If anybody hasn't seen his Goldwater campaign speech, that he gave at the Republican convention. It's on YouTube. Go find it. It's worth watching. He was so damn good of a speaker, he started out as a broadcaster on broadcasting football games.
I mean, the one quality, regardless of somebody's beliefs, is if they're if they come across as likable and trustworthy, they are more likely to get somebody's vote. Period.
Trustworthy. Well, I'm not running for office, but I should take off my mask on my avatar then. My Nomex face mask.
I mean, and that's something that Ronald Reagan came across with.
Yeah, he was a very likable guy. Even people that didn't agree with him just liked him.
Uh-huh. They didn't agree, but they didn't get angry at him.
I did have I did one of my recent videos was the trip. I took some video of the Air Force One, and Reagan went to the Reagan Presidential Library, which is near when I visited California to see my folks. That did my Behind Enemy Lines tour on my channel, so you can check that out if you have time. Basically they have a museum. It's like the presidential library. There's a museum and there's a hangar and there's Air Force One. You can just walk through Air Force One. It's all older solid state technology, but I mean, it's a 747, I think. And now they have is Air Force One a 767 now? When Trump's not in his own plane.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, well, I have a video on the one that's at the Reagan Library, and it's a pretty cool video. Walking through there with the camera, but anyway, all right. So, what else should we talk about before we wrap this up? Because I think we're going to be getting near 2 hours.
Since I have a question, since the Clinton Presidential Center, i.e., the Clinton Library, is already completed and been open since November 18th, 2004. Why is the Clinton Foundation, whose sole purpose was to raise money for the Clinton Library, still open?
Because they have other purposes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, wait a minute. It's to build a presidential library.
It's going to be to get Chelsea Clinton elected for something.
I thought it was to get Hillary out of jail.
Well, they can afford a lot of lawyers to keep her out of jail, but they're going to need a lot of lawyers. It looks like if they follow the money, from the whole thing with the Clinton Foundation and that Canadian charity that was sent up, and maybe if we could find out exactly how much money Putin gave to the Clinton Foundation through Uranium One to get for her to approve the sale of U.S. uranium ore to Russia. So, I mean, it would be pretty sad if we got nuked with our own uranium, but you know, I think I nuked Chicago from that nuclear secrecy site that does the simulated nuclear detonations. I'll try and post that link tomorrow on gunchannels.com/prepper. But I will go through all your videos, Northwest Prepper, and try and find out what the hell I missed while I was in the hospital or what I didn't see before. How many videos do you have on your channel?
Let me see what I've got here. I have to get back out of it here. It's just over 100, I think.
Oh, okay.
Right
Well,
at 100.
They were good videos.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I got a quick question for you, Northwest Prepper. Have you ever attempted or played around with making your own black powder?
I haven't. No, I sure haven't. My brother-in-law did. He burned his eyebrows off, so I figured I'd stay away.
Okay.
That's a true story, too. That's a true story.
Oh,
I'm not even making that up. And he's into black powder pretty well, and I stay away from it. So I figured that's a little more than I wanted to get involved in. So I just go buy my powder.
Yeah. I'm just curious.
So, nope, I never did. Nope.
I figured because there for the few people that might be able to do it in a repeating fashion are going to be able to make a killing when the shit hits the fan.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And it's we're talking about knowledge before, and that's why I asked.
Yeah, and to me, I don't use a lot of the black powder, itself. And in modern firearms, I mean, pretty much you'd have to scoop your case full and hope it's accurate. I would imagine I know of people that have actually done that. So.
Well, there are some, like it was the 4570 that it actually meant 70 for 70 grains, which was actually a full case.
Right. Yep. 70 grains of black powder. Yep.
Well, I've seen the 4570 that at the local gun shop that fires out of the Gatling gun that Colt sells now for $56,000, and that is a damn huge casing.
Yeah, I have a video I did on mine here 2 months ago of the 4570. I have a lever 4570 on mine, and of course I shoot modern powder in it. But he is correct. I mean, it was a 45 caliber bullet backed by 70 grains of black powder.
Yeah, and that is a huge casing. I mean, how fast does it go out of the barrel?
Mine, I'm shooting 325 grain FTX bullets, which is a Hornady, and I think they're pushing right at 1,800 feet a second.
Oh, yeah, for that big of a round, that's pretty damn fast because a regular 45 is pretty slow. So.
Yeah, that's really fast. I mean, I can go through a chunk of firewood, at 50 yards with it.
Yeah, that's what everybody complains about 45. It's a slow freight train. I mean,
it is.
But at 1,800, that's faster than any handgun. So, but I mean,
well, the way you equate that is, you take something that shoots really fast. We'll say the 223. It's fast. It's a light bullet, but it's equated in the same way as you take a sports car hitting a brick wall at 150, or you take a Mack truck hitting that same brick wall at 90. Mack truck's going slower, but it's much bigger.
Yeah, the energy transfer is going to be significantly different.
Absolutely.
So, and expressed in pounds per square inch, what is the energy transfer of a 4570?
I think mine with those 325, I want to say is, I want to say it's like 2,700 foot-pounds. Right at.
Yeah, you know what happened was I saw the new Magnificent Seven movie at the theater, and they had a Gatling gun, and I just came out of that movie theater so damn hot to buy a Gatling gun until I found out it was $56,000.
Well, if you or you ever get a chance and go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, the J.M. Davis Museum, they got one there.
Yeah, but that's not the same as having one set up in your backyard that you can shoot anytime you want.
Well, I'm sure if you made a donation, they might be willing to work things out.
I want my own Gatling gun, damn it.
And they'll give it, and they won't give it to you, but they might sell it to you. You never know.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's basically a guy that makes them for Colt, and they just put the Colt label on it, and sell it for a markup. And they're listed at $56,000. I went to the gun shop and was talking to the guy, and he says, "I can order one for you right now." And I was like, well, that would max out all my credit cards. Plus, I'd have to throw in $10,000 or something on top of all that. So I think I'd have to pass on that. Though I do have one of my credit cards offered me 0% until like April or May next year. Still, I'm gonna keep my credit rating over 800 and not bite on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a fan of having one. I'm not a fan of letting anything stay on it over 30 days.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to keep my money.
Yeah.
If you like your money, you can keep it.
Well,
hopefully.
guys, I appreciate it. I'm going to have to bow out now.
Yeah, I'm ready to wrap it up. Anyway, thanks for coming on, Northwest Prepper.
Nice meeting you.
No problem.
Yeah,
yep, same with you.
Yeah, maybe you can make it next week. Anyway, I'm going to check out your videos. Everybody, check out Northwest Prepper 411. It's NWPrepper411, right?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
No problem, guys. And I will get back with you in the next week or two, I'm sure.
All right. I'm on Mondays. Same time, same bat channel. See ya.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Yep. All right. So there was a prepper lore kind of gun channels. A gun guy with prepper lore from YouTube. And so what else happened on the Daily Gun Show before I wrap it? Because
I just closed that particular window of
I'm sorry,
show notes because that was like a half hour ago we were talking about it.
I know we just kept going on and on. I guess it got fun for a little while.
No, yeah. I mean, it was definitely worth the diversion. I enjoyed it.
Okay. So I won't make you open up again. I'll just try and I don't know if I can do 2 shows in the morning, but we'll see if I can manage it. But I do have a dentist appointment, but tomorrow. But
life comes first.
Life comes first, yeah, before YouTube. Okay, thanks everybody for watching the Lock and Load show on Monday, and thank you, DanO, for chiming in there towards the end after my almost hour-long monologue. And everybody hit the thumbs up if you can. Thanks for watching. God bless America, and check out Gun Channels. It's free to join. Gunchannels.com. All right. Hawaii Volcano Squad, signing off. Be safe out there.